I could lie to you and say it was easy, but what's the point of that? My name's Ratthew, and here's how I got 5 million streams as an independent artist. Now, I started making music back in high school under a different name that I'm not going to mention because I've deleted it off the internet for good reason. And I was really bad. I don't think I could emphasize enough how bad the music was. But even when my music was bad, there was always one thing I was very good at, and that was getting in your goddamn face. Jesus Christ. One thing has become very apparent in the music industry in the past 5 years. It has become a lot more about the marketing rather than how good the music actually is. It doesn't matter if you have the best song in the world or the worst song in the world. If you have the right sense of marketing, you're gonna find a way to get in front of an audience. When I finally transitioned over to the name Ratthew right before I started college, that was summer of 2019, I downloaded this stupid little app called TikTok. TikTok, we've all heard of it. We all hate it. I've probably wasted more time of my life than I would be happy to admit on that app. And I just started posting. My end goal was always to promote my music on TikTok, but at first, obviously, because I had 0 followers, no one cared, and also the music was bad. I've removed a lot of my earlier stuff from streaming services because I look at it now and I have progressed so far as an artist and a mixing engineer to the point that I really hate the original stuff. So I just kept grinding, and then COVID came around, and the pandemic meant there was a lot more time indoors, a lot more time to think. And my first viral video actually had nothing to do with my own songs. I posted a video about the meaning behind the series finale to the Clone Wars, which has you thinking, hey, that has absolutely nothing to do with music. I know, but it was something. It brought in followers who were clearly interested by either what I was talking about or my personality. And then that used a lot of building off of, because slowly I started doing more music stuff on that TikTok account because I was having people actually tune in. And I got to the point that I was about, I think, 100,000 followers on TikTok, and videos were doing great. I was posting videos and doing covers of songs every day with a funny little intro. But even with all that, no one was listening to my music. I think at that time I had about 3,000 or 4,000 monthly listeners. And you really think about it, you think 100,000 followers, 3,000 monthly listeners, it doesn't really, doesn't really balance that well. And a problem with that I learned for myself because I was watching the independent podcast with Nick D and Connor Price at the time. And the biggest part of the problem with that was because I wasn't posting my own stuff. I would only post these 20-second covers that people would be like, oh, fun, cool, click. And then they would forget about me. Instead of posting my own songs and, actually doing something with that. I didn't have my first sort of viral moment for my own song on TikTok until I think July of 2020, when I posted a video of one of my songs being featured on the radio. A lot of times people say that music's all about connections, and full transparency, that is entirely how I got that song on the radio. My best friend, Greg, shout out Greg, his stepdad works at a radio station, so I reached out to him through Greg asking if I could get one of my songs on. He told me to send a couple over, and then he picked one that he liked, and they announced it on the radio, and I knew exactly what time it was going to be on. I knew what radio station, obviously, and so I had my mom record, because you know what, in my mind, the back of my mind is always a marketing angle at this point, and that is kind of what you have to be willing to do. So I recorded that video of my song getting played on the radio, and it got 100,000 likes on TikTok. I was losing my goddamn mind, because I went to bed and I was like, it has 3,000 likes as I'm going to bed. This is crazy. None of my music stuff has ever got more than 100 likes. And when I woke up, it was at 9,000. I remember rushing down to tell my dad, I was like, yo, it's at 9,000 likes right now. It's starting to steamroll. And it did. What it turned out wasn't that many streams. Now, I think there are a couple things to blame for that. A, I didn't really capitalize off of that viral moment that well. I took a well-defined story of a video that was showing how I was, on the radio and everything leading up to that. And I followed up with a video of me holding my phone like this after I just got out of the shower saying, yeah, so it's pretty cool. Virality is about capturing the moment. You need to be able to follow through every single time. And I'll get to that a little bit later as we get towards 2022. But at that time, I didn't follow the moment quite well. The song now is sitting at 59,000 total listens on Spotify, which, hey, I'm not going to knock that because, that's pretty good in my opinion still. But with 100,000 likes on a video, you feel like it should have more than that, right? That summer of COVID, I really put it all into marketing on TikTok, as well as I made some other, stupid decisions. I think that summer I probably spent about $400 to $500 out of my own pocket on trying to get on these playlists and getting on people's Instagram stories, trying to get other people to make TikToks to my songs. And if there's one thing I could constantly recommend to independent artists is never to do that. Because sure, I looked at my year-end reviews at that point, my Spotify Wrapped. I think I had like 159,000 listens for the year 2020 or 2021, whatever year it was. That's awesome. But then you look at the listeners and it was like 119,000. So you're not even getting these people to listen to your song twice is pretty much what that's showing. And sure, you make some of the money back through things like revenue through Spotify, but you don't make nearly enough back to justify that meme. And at the end of the day, I mean, is the point of you making this music for unlimited amounts of money or because you want to? Because personally, I love doing this. I mean, you can see I have invested more money than most people into this. So the next year I really took a different approach to it. Now was the year where I was kind of doing a lot more of the viral videos. That was 2021. And even then, 2021, my songs weren't doing that well. I remember getting my song that came out in April 2021 called Opponent. Did pretty well. It got like 13,000 streams in the first 4 weeks. And at that time, that was pretty unheard of to me. And now it's sitting at about 73,000. So it's not something that just halted and didn't continue to rise because people, the farther they go back in my discography, they see that one with a larger listen and they listen to it. But that time I was pretty rough on TikTok for me. I was at a point because it feels like for me, I don't know if you can relate to this at all, but I feel like I go through about a month or two of success on TikTok, heavy success, and then 3 to 6 months of just painful shadow ban. And I'm not going to talk about the merits of shadow ban or the anger that it causes me today. If you want that, drop it in the comments. I'll do another video on that. But I wasn't posting that song on TikTok very often because no one was watching. Now, you get to the point that I start making these viral TikToks. It started off with a stupid Shakira TikTok because someone says I sound like Shakira, which I don't. But in the back of my head, I saw this as a marketing opportunity. And literally, I saw the comment saying male Shakira. And I went on my laptop. I downloaded the karaoke instrumental to Hips Don't Lie. And then I realized that there was a Hips Don't Lie going on TikTok right now that was trending. And that was the big part of that video because it goes boom, boom. It's a big arrangement and it's very cinematic. So I took that and I downloaded it because they didn't have a karaoke version of that. And I actually went on a website and got rid of the vocals and I just put my vocals right over. If you listen to it with headphones, you can clearly tell that there were original vocals over it and it's not a good mix whatsoever. But I did it in 15 minutes and I recorded the video, put it out that same night, and I woke up to 50,000 likes on it. And at that point, it had been a long time since I had anything get over 1,000 likes. So I kept riding this trend, and you know, I posted 3 videos in a row, each of them getting over 50,000 likes, and that was me kind of riding the virality. What I went wrong with that is I immediately thought I could just jump right into my own music because these people are here for these funny videos, not my song that just come out, which was about my grandparents passing away. That's a little too deep for a lot of people, don't you think? So that video did pretty decently because I got about 2,000 likes, but if you compared that to the 360,000 total likes between 3 videos, it doesn't look that good. But that did do some numbers. I mean, over the course of that summer, I got probably a good 500,000 likes in total, or maybe 300,000. I don't really know, to be honest with you. And that started driving up the Spotify numbers more. But when the year of 2021 ended, I only had, I think, about 94,000 listens total. In my heart, I was a little concerned because that was a 60,000 drop between the year before and that. But the listeners ratio was much better. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll put it up on the screen. But it shows that people were listening more and more. I think it was like 20,000. I don't think it was that much. So carrying that into 2022 is where a lot of things started to go well for me. I released a song called Nervous that I had spent, I think, 6 months total on because I bought the instrumental. I spent a good 4 months with the stems trying to find the perfect mix that I wanted to hear in my ear. And on top of that, I couldn't get the lyrics right. I couldn't get what I wanted to come across functionally until finally I hit that perfect spot and I was ready to drop the song. So I released it early January. And it's something I still think about to this day because if I have a bad release day now, I panic and I feel like a failure if I'm being completely transparent with you. But Nervous, when it came out, the first day had 50 streams total. So that includes release radar, that includes just me promoting it on social media, and just other people just seeing my Spotify page. 50 total streams. Obviously, the first day is important, but it's not the end of the world because the song's sitting at 77,000 right now. So clearly, over time, people found it and started liking it. And that was also another period where my TikToks weren't doing that well. And then I posted Open Verse Challenge to Numb Little Bug by M. Byhold, and that got about 2,000 likes day 1. one. You know what? Great. I thought that was a great setting because I spent 15 minutes on that song. And then just randomly, a week later, the song went viral. It went from 2,000 likes and then all of a sudden jumped up to, I think it was like 260,000. That's the problem with these apps like TikTok. You have no idea when a song is going to do well if it's going to. Because odds are, if it doesn't happen the first 24 hours, it won't. But there's that off chance that a week later, it'll jump up. Now, using that press I had from that, I started promoting a song I've been working on called Angelica. And I made a whole pre-save campaign. And I genuinely hate pre-save campaigns at this point in my life. But at that time, it felt like the right thing to do. And I just kept posting for, I think, 3 weeks before the song came out. Each video would get like 2,000 likes. And I was thinking, this is the greatest thing ever. Angelica, I think, had something like 100 or 200 pre-saves. And I was losing my mind because my most at that point was 30. And it opened up to day one streams of 2,000 streams in the first day. And it reached 20,000 streams within the first month. And that was the first step for me because that song's over 100,000 now. And it was my first song to do that well. So 2022 was actually a very big year for me because it kept going, you know. Unfortunately, right before Angelica, my house burned down. So I did have a lot to talk about that in songs. And I released an EP called Southern Soul, which didn't do well. And that's kind of when I shifted my focus towards singles rather than EPs or projects, because if you can have one song to promote, it focuses all the attention there rather than you trying to spread the love between 4 songs. And I released a song along with a short film I made, and that didn't do that well. That was fine, because I was going on vacation. I wasn't thinking much about it anyways. But while I was on vacation, I randomly thought, this looks like a cool scenery. Let me tease another song. And then that song got about 500 likes on TikTok. 500 likes in the video. And for some reason in my head, that said to me that this song was worth pushing. And so I went home after vacation, I finished the song, I mixed and mastered it, I uploaded it, and I started pushing for pre-saves. And that song is Something Still Bother Me. And if you know my face, you probably know that song. And you know, when all things were said and done, it was getting a lot of traction. I think it had about 280,000 total likes on TikTok amongst all the videos before release. And I think it finished off with about 1,000 pre-saves, which led to a day one of 17,000 streams. And at first, my thought was that this was all because of the pre-saves. No, it's so far from the truth, because that 17,000 streams also stems from the fact that the day I posted the song, I released a video saying it's out, and it got 20,000 likes. So in my head, I don't know why I didn't realize right then and there that having songs go viral when they're already out is better than when they're pre-saved, but it happens. And I kept doing that over the summer. I had another song, 1,000 Nights, I did a huge pre-save campaign for. And by the time 1,000 Nights came out, Something Still Bother Me reached 100,000 streams. First time I've ever done that. 5 years in the game, first time it's ever happened. I cried like a baby. There's one thing you can't tell from what I'm talking to you about right now is I've done this entirely on my own. I haven't had anyone who knows what they're doing or is willing to help, because I've reached out to so many creators who are supposed to help artists and really want people to succeed. None even respond to me, so I'm starting to wonder if there's something wrong with me, first of all, but whatever. And I did it all on my own. So to get here at this point without anyone else helping was just even more rewarding. Now, I kept posting on TikTok. I had a couple videos go viral, like my Noah Khan Stick Season cover, which again, posted, did okay, 5 days later went viral. Makes no sense. And like my Zach Bryan Something in the Orange cover. And you know, it's funny because you kind of have a sense when something's going to do well. Because flash forward to October, and I'm sitting there in my room. My buddy Mason's literally chilling on my bed. I think I made some chicken parm, and I told him he could have some. So he was chilling on my bed eating chicken parm. I'm recording these vocals to a very popular song on TikTok called Remember. And I'm just making a quick little cover. I spent 10 minutes on the vocals, didn't even bother really doing a deep mix. I literally just threw my regular chain on there, didn't even bother to adjust the frequencies or anything. Went outside, recorded 3 different angles, went back in my room, chopped it up, posted it, went live for 10 minutes on TikTok. And I looked at him, I said, I got a good feeling about this one. And he looked at me and agreed. And you know what? It did pretty good. It got, I think, 11,000 likes. And I was like, I'm content. I'm very much so content with this. And then yet again, 4 days later, for some unknown reason, starts to skyrocket. And this wasn't a normal skyrocket for me. You know, my most liked video at this point was 260,000 likes. It passed that within 12 hours. I remember leaving work that night, calling my brother saying, it's at 400,000 likes. I don't know what's going on. So remember when I said earlier, do you have to really capture the moment? That's when I knew I had to capture this moment. The cover of the song I posted was the piano version. I didn't do the big EDM version. So I knew if I could get my hands on the sheet music, I could make this cover myself. So that's what I did. I bought the MIDI stamp or whatever you call it off the internet. It was like $6 and it gave you the entire song ready. You could just be input into your MIDI. And then I had my buddy Max, who I believe uses Ableton, if I remember correctly, take that MIDI, just toss it into there. I asked them to put on some strings for the end to make kind of a grand ending. And then within a week, I had the song recorded. Now, admittedly, because this was all going on, I kept posting the same snippet. And I know it would be annoying to someone who wasn't excited, because if you didn't like the way it sounded the first time, you're not going to like it the sixth time. But people were so excited for some unknown reason. They cared about me, which was something I'd never had happen before. Not to this degree. And I rushed it. I could have taken my time and really made the perfect song, but I was so worried about getting it out there so I didn't miss my moment that I listen to it now. I think it's enjoyable. People still like it because it's about to hit 3 million streams, but the mix is so far from perfect. There's a moment where I literally fall off beat and I didn't even care to re-record it because A, it was a Thursday night, I was headed to the bar and I was just trying to get it done before then. And B, I wanted the song out. So I finished it, uploaded that same night, and I need to wait for a cover license. So I figured it'd take about a week and a half. So I set the release day a week and a half away for, I think it was Friday the 11th maybe. And that song got 6,000 pre-saves. And in the day it came out, I posted a video, just another one, you know, the only when I'm... And it got 200,000 likes, which led to an insane first week. I think I was over 500,000 streams week one, which, like I said, I just reached 100,000 streams on a song for the first time, and I was losing my mind. And then less than a month later, I hit 1 million streams. And in between that span, I hit 1 million total streams on my Spotify. I cried like a baby again. I called my mom and dad, you know. I felt like that corny Kamala Harris video. It was like, we did it, Joe. We did it. You know, I just didn't. A lot of people wrote my music off, particularly before I even got started. I had a math teacher in high school who told me not to quit my day job, and I will remember that until the day I die. And then the song hit 1 million, and those tears that I cried for hitting 1 million total streams on all my discography multiplied because I just hit 1 million streams on one song. You don't really put into perspective how hard it is to do that until you've done it, because there are so many artists who try and repeatedly try their entire lives but never reach that point. And I just got there in 4 years doing it all solo. So yeah, things kept going well from that point. I mean, I kind of had a lull where videos were doing okay. I posted a song that got some traction and Aim at the Sky. It's sitting at about 50,000 streams right now. And throughout this year, I haven't really had that TikTok virality that I did last year, but I also haven't been spending as much time on the internet because I was in my senior year of college. I was more worried about having those moments more than anything with my friends. And so when I got back home for the summer, I knew I was about to turn it back on again, and I did. It was a slow start because I had been so heavily shadow banned on social media for a while, and then I had a video do pretty darn well on TikTok, got about 50,000 likes, and I just kept running with it, that same song, for about a month and a half. And that song, Dreams and Scars, went from about 20,000 listens to, I think it's probably going to reach 200,000 by tomorrow. So I realized I just gave you my whole life story, which kind of is the point of this. And I also realized maybe 6 of you watched this entire thing. I don't really care. I like talking. I take a lot of inspiration from KOT4Q's, Kenny Beecham's videos where he just sits down with the camera and a microphone and just talks. So I kind of want to try it for myself. It has not been an easy road by any means because there's a lot of days with things like self-doubt. And, you know, people make fun of influencers for saying things like, oh, my job's difficult. But you don't realize the mental toll that a lot of this has, because there are plenty of days where I don't feel like I deserve it or I don't feel like I'm worth it. And it's kind of tough. But at the end of the day, I know I've gotten this far and I know my love for the craft is going to keep going. So I have an EP coming out on the 18th and it's my best work to this point, in my opinion. I've only shared it with 2 people so far, and the first one that listened to it through and through texted me in all caps in the middle of it, so I think that is a good sign of things. Yeah, so at this point, we're over 5 million streams, and this year is looking to be pretty good for my Spotify Wrapped, but who knows where I'll go from here. If you like this type of content, drop a like, leave a comment, let me know. And if you think there's any topics that you'd want me to talk about, fire away. I'm kind of just at this point in my life right now that I'm in between jobs right now and trying to figure out where to move. So I might just hop on here and do these every now and then. Thanks. Everybody